Let's talk about state testing for your homeschooler. Now, the report that you see here in my hands, this is from the Iowa assessment that we took last year. I'm going to show you these results and kind of explain to you how it's broken down. Just to kind of give like an overview of testing for homeschooling students. Remember, this is going to be state dependent. So what my state requires is going to be different than what your state requires. And some people are lucky enough to live in states that don't require anything at all. Most states do allow you to choose what test you want to take. I personally like the MAP test, M-A-P test, and the Iowa test, which is what you're going to see here. We've done both of these tests. We used to use the MAP test when I was a teacher. I feel like the MAP test is a little easier for students. It doesn't really provide you as good of feedback as the Iowa assessment. With the Iowa assessment, I felt like the questions were a little more difficult, which I personally thought was a good thing. And the report is super detailed. So let's look at this. It's gonna look a little crazy at first, but I'll break it down for you. So here are all of the tests that she took. So there was a reading section, language, vocabulary, and then they give you a reading total. And then just to confuse us even more, they give you a separate ELA total. We've also broken it down into your other subjects as well. So we've got math here, social studies, and science. And I loved that the Iowa assessment included those subjects as well. These SS numbers, this is kind of like their raw score here, but this NPR National Percentile ranking, that's like the percentile that they're in for their age. So looking at the totals, my daughter was 95th percentile for her reading total, 96th percentile for her ELA total, 96th for math, 91st for social studies, and 93rd for science. And then they do give you this complete composite score as well, which is 96th percentile. And then look how detailed this is. It actually breaks down the entire reading test here into informational versus literary. We've got explicit versus implicit. Is she understanding key ideas? They give you the same details for the other subjects as well with your math and social studies. Just broken down into history, geography, economics. One thing too that I forgot to mention that I really like is they give you a grade equivalent. So her reading grade equivalent was a 2.9. Her math grade equivalent was 3, meaning like a 3rd grade math level, which that was kind of mind-blowing. But back to the individual sections. So you can see here it tells you how many items were asked. So there were 3 questions on informational text and 15 questions on literary. This is the number attempted. So she attempted all 15, for example, with literary. She got 87% of the ones that she attempted, which were all 15, 87% correct. And nationally, most students at her age are getting only 64% correct. So she's at a 23% higher rate of accuracy. Here's the problem that I have with the Iowa assessment results. As detailed as they are, which there's other pages as well with even more information. But for example, over here for Earth and Space Science, you can see that she attempted all 6 questions, but only got 67% correct, when the rest of the nation is getting 71% correct. So she is 4 percentage points behind like the national average. The problem is that I don't know what this means. Like Earth and Space Science, what exactly? I'm not seeing the specific questions. Like, yeah, I'm there when she's taking the test, but it's not like I'm taking notes on what they're asking. This is not breaking it down into like Earth and Space Science standards. So I don't exactly know what she's missing or how to help her here. At least this gives me some general idea of where she's got strengths, where she has some weaknesses, what we need to work on, yada, yada, yada. But with these percentile scores all being in like the 90th range, almost all of them are in the 90th range, I really don't have any concerns. If you want to see her MAP assessment results, this was the Iowa assessment, but the MAP test was the one that I was saying is slightly easier. And the MAP test adapts. So when they get a question correct, it will actually bump them up to a little bit more of a difficult question. Same goes if they get one wrong, it kind of bumps them down a level. So it's constantly adapting as they're taking the test. I do have a video on my testing playlist where I show you like a full day of us doing the MAP testing and I show the results. So you can go watch that video if you want to see how those results were broken down. They're definitely not as detailed as the Iowa assessment. It still will give you a good idea of what's going on. Also, don't forget there are like more simplified things. So you can do the IXL, that's an online program. They have a diagnostic assessment that you can take, but that one will still give you some really good information. So I know that was a lot. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want to see anything else with this.